Hello, Guardians. Today is September 8th, 2023. My name's Danfinity, and welcome to Destiny Digest. Welcome back to another week of Destiny 2 news. We have an excellent show in store for you today. We have Tenrouken on, who does maps. They do cosplay. They also cleared Crota's End during the contest raids. We're talking to them a little bit about that. The news this week is a little bit slow. If you're listening to this on release, you still have a few days left to pick up the Bungie Foundation's Guardians for Maui fundraising campaign. In this week's TWID, they say, to ensure that the funds raised have immediate impact, the campaign will close at 11:59 p.m. PT on this Sunday, September 10th. Not only do you get a cool t-shirt, but you also get a rad emblem, and it all goes toward a good cause. Bungie's newly formed PvP strike team has also taken to Twitter asking for feedback from the community about game modes, about maps, sandbox stuff. This is a quick turnaround for the team, as it was just announced only a few weeks back in Joe Blackburn's video addressing the community at large. That's not the only promise that has taken shape this week. We also see a new ritual armor set added into the rotation for Strikes, Gambit, and Crucible. As promised in Joe Blackburn's address, this is the Eververse armor set that they took out of Eververse and put into ritual activities. We have the Hinterland set for the Hunter, the Biosphere Explorer Titan, and the Ossuary Warlock set. All of them look really cool. They got bones all over them, perfect for spooky season. In the TWID this week, Bungie also congratulated four-time Raid Race Legends Clan Elysium on their World's First of Crota's End. They do a whole interview in the TWID, so if you want to go through and read that, I'll have the links in the show notes. Also, I'm going to link the interview that we did with Saltagrepo over a year ago in the show notes as well. Destiny 2 Update 7.2.0.3 landed as well on Thursday, bringing with it much-needed changes to the loot pools in Trials of Osiris. One of the notes being that match wins in Trials of Osiris now have the high chance to drop a non-adept Trials weapon. I'm seeing feedback from around the community that this is great for bringing casuals into the playlist and for infusing life for those just looking to get gear. Keeping the brisk pace, we're now going to go to our interview with Tenrouken. Tenrouken, thank you so much and welcome to Destiny Digest. How are you today?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you doing, Dan?
You know what? People keep asking me that question. I keep answering the same way. So I'm gonna, you know what? I'm doing well. I can't complain too much. That's not just the Midwest coming out of me at this point. It is. I had a good couple of days. Also, I get to talk to you about Destiny for a while, and we've been friends for a while. Mm-hmm. So what I want you to do is, if you can, maybe tell the people at home who you are.
Cattail.
tell the people at home who you are, what you do on the internet in the realm of Destiny 2 community, and where they can find you.
Well, hi, I'm Ten. I short for Tenrouken. I am a community artist. I also am a gamer, so I also play the game. I do anything from make fan art, ranging from just memes, sometimes emotes, graphics, or probably what I'm most known for is either my hive art, either of my OC original character Narek, and or of the more famous tarot cards that I did for the last several years. Then we have the community raid maps that I've done, and the dungeons that I've tried to do a little bit. Then beyond that, I just game, and every once in a blue moon we the game too.
So, I mean, let's dive into it. That's kind of where I know you from. Is I know you as we were friends of friends, and I knew you as somebody who made maps primarily, and somebody that I played with occasionally in the Good People Discord.
Yes.
I also, but I had seen your art in the past without knowing you, and thought that it was gorgeous. So and lucky enough to have met you at GCX and have gotten a couple of prints which need to go up as soon as I'm able to frame them.
I'm sorry, they are a little bit awkward size.
It's completely fine. Like I'll figure it out. But yeah. So what got you into Destiny 2, or what got you into the universe of Destiny? What was the impetus for diving in?
Okay, well, if I go back to the very beginning, the first, like I heard about Destiny back when it came out, and a lot of people told me, hey, why don't you try this? You like Warframe, you like a bunch of these other games. This seems right up your alley. And I was just like, yeah, but I don't have a console.
Yeah.
I'm a PC player. I'm sorry, I don't have the money to get this game because I would have to buy a whole new console and things. So my first actual introduction into Destiny was actually through a cosplay friend of mine at the time. He made a Raise Lighter.
Okay.
And he was showing me some stuff, and I was like, oh, that's a really cool sword design. And I was just like, that's so cool. I love that design. And then it just, like, years later, I had been playing Paragon. That shut down.
Oh my god, that is a game I haven't thought of in years.
Yes, that was actually how I got started in streaming and like community stuff and whatnot. Because I was very invested into Paragon, and I had a good following in their love streaming back then and everything. And one of my friends was doing a giveaway, and he's like, "Hey, you know what? I have this code for this game, Destiny 2. Do you want it?" I was like, "Okay, free game. I'll try it out." I tried it out with some of my other Paragon friends and instantly hooked. I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea who this Cade character is. I have no idea what's going on. Who are these Cabal? Who's Gaul? What is the light? What?
Yeah.
And instantly, like, I was hooked. And I just started, like, diving into the lore. That was my new thing.
Hell yeah.
And that was actually how I started kind of building up a bunch of a community through there, because I had been just bouncing around through games and just was like, all right, we're maining this now. I'm sorry, y'all can suffer through this game with me.
If this isn't the thing for you.
Yeah, and then I think I really got sucked in around the time the Invitations of the Nine.
Okay, yeah.
That's where it really took off, and just I was gone. Because I realized that the Invitations of the Nine were based around tarot cards. And it started that whole series of art. And that's how, like, people started figuring out, like, who I was and everything. And here I am.
Yeah. Heck yeah. So have you always, in the communities, you're talking about Paragon, you're talking about Warframe, in those communities, did you, like, make community art as well, or... Is
Paragon,
this...
yes.
Yeah.
Much smaller scale. I wasn't in anything near like what I am now. I would do some emotes. I did a couple pieces. I think the biggest... I have 2 pieces of Paragon ones I still look at. The one I did as a tattoo design, which was based off of Muriel, and the 2 snakes, basically the Caduceus, a healing staff.
Okay.
And then the other was a farewell piece using the character that I pretty much was most known for using, Phase, and it was a one where she was holding the icon in her hands, and there was a sunset behind her.
Oh, awesome!
And that was my like farewell tribute to the game on the last day the servers were up.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
I did some pieces here and there, but like I wasn't near as good as I am now. I was still learning how to digitally draw back then. So it was a lot more hard. I was still learning.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it is with any like creative field, right? It's always
it's a process. It's like, okay, I'm here. It's not pretty, but I'm trying. And then you look back once you're over here and it's like, we're gonna just ignore this. It's not good. We're just gonna pretend this all is all that exists.
That's how I used to be. So going back, I used to be in bands and everything. And so occasionally you kind of like go back and you test out the thing and you're like, is this good? And I think I'm finally like at the point and separated far enough from it that I can be like, you know what? I'm really proud of those things, even though like this version of myself that made it was maybe a little immature.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
didn't necessarily know how to adequately convey what he was thinking in the project.
Yeah.
And so like it's just part of being an artist. It's part of progression and everything. So but yeah, so when you came to Destiny, were you straight up making, so you mentioned the tarot card project, were you making OC like your original characters on top of that, or did that not come until like when
That
you started
came
getting into
about-
Destiny and or Dungeons and Destiny?
Yeah, I would say it really got when I got into the Dungeons and Destiny, because they found me through the Tarot Project, and they reached out and they're like, "Hey, GCX is coming up. Would you like to help make backgrounds for these posters? Because we have character art, but we don't have a background that really ties it in together.
And what year
Can
was
you make
that?
something for us?" That was back in 19.
Okay.
So it was just like, I think 4 months after I had started the Tarot Card Project. And I remember them reaching out literally right as I had an eye infection.
Oh no.
So I couldn't see. My eye was, I had to go like basically like this. I'm like, huh? Yeah, because my eye was so sensitive. I couldn't have any light around me, and it was a pain trying to draw, and I had a week to get these backgrounds done. But Katie had been like, "Hey, do you want to try playing in our server and in our event and everything?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I love DRPGs. Like, sign me up." And I invited a couple of my friends in, and it just took off. And that's where, like, 2 months later, I had Narek, and that was the character like that I was currently playing in their server event, and here I am now.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah, I was lucky enough to see you in like your full like cosplay of your original character at GCX. Yeah. How many hours did that piece take you overall, like just for that event?
I had, so about 2 months before GCX, I was like, okay, maybe I can make it. Mal Nightingale was kind enough to try and like help it me try and get out there and everything. That kind of fell through, but it was basically what started me actually looking at being able to go to GCX. And I was like, I don't want to go as just me. I do want to meet my friends and be me some of the time, but it was like, I'm shy. Yeah. I don't come across it a lot of times, but I am very shy. I'm don't like reaching out to new people and stuff. This was a nice way for me to hide kind of behind a mask.
Yeah.
Because when I'm in cosplay, it's like I'm not me anymore.
Okay.
I am the character, even if not fully the character. There's a separation between me and the character. It's not me that people are really looking at; it's the character, and it helps me relax and everything. So I had at that point when I realized I could make it, because I had just finished a nice commission that helped pay for the ticket. We basically just threw everything in.
Right.
I immediately was like, all right, this is my current D&D Destiny character. I'm going to make them. Let's go. And I had about a little over a month to make the entire thing. I don't even have any idea of how many hours I put in, because it was just like, I wake up, had my coffee, and I was instantly like, okay, what do I need to do? And it just instant, like, I was working till sometimes 1 a.m. in the morning, 2 a.m. in the morning, because I live in Arizona. It is extremely hot, and like at times it was 120 degrees outside, like, and I had to have the door open to the outside because the noxious fumes of the chemicals from the glue. So basically, when I wasn't sleeping, I was working. I was either researching or planning or sanding. Or something.
What was the like? So was this your first full blown cosplay that you've put together, or had you put?
No.
Okay, gotcha.
No, so I started cosplaying in 2009.
Okay.
Just small things. because we have a bunch of conventions here locally, and my mom and I went to several. That was our thing. Every year we would go to two of the local cons. And that was kind of our vacation and our bonding thing. She would help me a little bit on the cosplay, just, plan, sometimes hold things, run me around, town and help me pick out fabrics and stuff. And then we would go and so I had already been through several cosplays. Probably the most notable ones were my Synchronicity Miku from the Vocaloid series, which was absolutely huge. That took me 3 months for the base version, and I ended up upgrading it twice after that. That was by far the most expensive one because it was about $500 just into one cosplay. The other one was my Ayla the Huntress from Skyrim.
Okay.
And that was probably the most complicated just because of the props. I had a huge dragon head prop that I had made.
That's awesome.
That thing was massive.
Yeah.
So cosplay was not a new thing for me. It was very much I'm rusty. I haven't done it in probably 7 years. But I still retain all the knowledge. For the most part, it was just like,
I have
where's
to do
all my
this
stuff?
now.
Where is all of my stuff?
So
it's like I haven't figured out. So it was fun.
What was the toughest thing that you learned during this cosplay?
I would say that would probably be in taking something that was my own design and making it a reality. Because the character design was based off of a lot of pre-existing armors and everything. It was a mixture of Guardian armor, either from the Lux set or some other pieces, and Hive armor.
Yeah. Well, and your OC is so it was a Hive Guardian?
Kind of.
Yeah.
They were originally a Guardian who had made a deal with a worm. Hive worm. So they had an actual hive worm living inside them. And I did this before, Season of the Deep or the current season.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's kind of kismet that
yeah, so it's like Drexus was so funny. He's like looking at my Guardian as I'm designing them back months ago, and then finds out about this current season. He's like, Ten's gonna freak out and absolutely love this season. But I'd say probably it was getting everything to look and fit on my body.
Yeah.
It's one thing to take someone else's creation and be like, okay, I can make this. It's another thing to make your own design, and then it's like, how do I get this to all work properly?
Yeah. This all has to fit and cinch into one another to create this kind of seamless experience. At least that's what I saw on the show floor. Was it looked mostly seamless.
And I didn't have enough time. I would have needed probably another 2 weeks to really get it to work properly. I did not have time to test fit it at all.
Yeah. So you were just test fitting, just flying by the seat of your pants out?
Yes. Yeah. And there was so many times, getting in it is very time consuming. I definitely am going to try and upgrade it and fix it up for next year for GCX, because I'd like to make it nice and clean and fit and properly. But yeah, it was a really fun experience. I'm glad I did it.
Heck yeah. Well, that's kind of a perfect transition into the next phase of this conversation here. How are you liking this season so far? I mean, it's kind of crazy.
I am eating so well.
Perfect.
I am just over here all the Hive lords.
Yeah. What's been your favorite part so far? I know we've gotten a lot of activities. We're about, what is this, week 3? This is week 3.
Yeah,
and
week
we've
3.
had a lot of bombshells already, from a lore and story perspective. What have been some of your favorite moments so far?
Probably just seeing all the lore. There are bits that I've already known, some bits about the Hive language and how it works. And then seeing that really concreted in some of the bits and lines that are put in there, and then seeing the characters interact, and then especially seeing Oh, okay. So throne worlds don't work quite like how we thought. You actually need to know hive magic. You need to know this. And then it's like building off of the knowledge that we've already had.
Mm-hmm.
And then thinking at later after I've gone through, it's like, oh, I'm looking at all this tea between Zebu and them having a little spitting contest. And then it's
Yeah.
like, I could take this for my own stuff. And then it's like, oh no, I'm looking at my OC over here, and it's like, I made a hive god by accident. Oh
Yeah.
no.
It's like you're slowly just like it's feeding into your story. Who knows if your story feeds into
Yeah, and it's just like I have no idea, but I'm eating well, and my friends are over there like constantly bugging me, like, yes, we can use this. They're over there being like, ah, yes, haha. Now we are acolytes for your character.
Awesome. Well, another thing that you do in the community, you make raid maps for people,
Yes.
like for different encounters. What you just spent the past weekend playing Crota's End, as a bunch of the community did. Did you guys end up getting past the challenge mode, or did you?
Yes.
Yeah. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
phenomenal. So like when you're playing through that, were you just focusing mainly on like, we have this goal of getting a challenge completion. We just want to get that done. Do you have any of that like map sense kind of rolling through the back of your brain? Just like, just saying, hey, this chest is over here far off on the left-hand side and you can get to it within the minute, but you gotta kind of go out of the way, or...
So if I'm doing a dungeon, yes, very much. I am, if I'm not in a contest mode, I am the first run. I'm always constantly like, okay, let's get some reference photos. Let's try and scout out, get the lay of the land, get the flow of the encounters, and then in the next runs and everything, then I'll be like, okay, I am going in. I need you guys just to do the encounter and be willing to wait so that I can get references or whatever. And I basically just spam my print screen button.
Yeah. Like surveying almost.
Yeah, and I'm just getting a feel and everything, and then I'll kind of start sketching out in Photoshop basically the layout. And then I'll kind of fine tune it. Like with the Val maps, that was very difficult and different because I had never, those were the first ones I did. I was trying to figure out, okay, I want to do this because a lot of my friends are having difficulty. They need something clean. I'm just going to do it and we're going to see. And like the third encounter was the first one I did. I would love to redo that one, but I don't feel like it's needed. And I definitely saw a change in how I did things via the rest of the raid. Because when Caretaker, the second encounter, I went in with 2 people and I was like, find me an oobs. I need an oobs. I'm not mapping these inner rooms by hand. And we were able to find an out of bounds area that allowed me to basically figure out roughly how the inside rooms were for that encounter. At least for the two of the floors. I couldn't. The third floor is completely sealed off.
Gotcha.
So I was able to use like techniques like that to help me with some of them. Others, for the most part, I am just like, where's the highest place that I can get to?
Yeah.
And then you just go off of that. Strand has made it a lot easier because I can use the grapple and get some references from that. I'm very picky when I make my maps because I try and make them as accurate as possible. Spire was by far the easiest.
Yeah.
I decided to do that off of random because nobody else had really done a really nice, clean map at that time that I had known of. There were a couple, but nothing very nice of all of the encounters. So I decided I'll do it. And I found out that somebody had ripped all of the assets of the dungeon. Or at least 95% of them. And what I did was I opened it up in Blender and I was able to manipulate the files and how they rendered out so that it came out as line work. and basically was able to take that and then clean it up. I had to massively clean it up in some areas and make something that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that drastically increased the productivity there.
Yeah, I was going to say that probably takes a lot less time than going in and surveying it and making sure that measurements and locations were right. Yeah,
because acquisition, first encounter in WoW took me, I think, a month.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is so complex, because you have not only the verticality, you also have the rooms inside, but then it's just like there's so many things that need to line up. It's about 98% correct.
Yeah.
There are certain times, because I would basically be like, okay, this point needs to line up with here, this point needs to line up over here, and I would have so many guidelines on Photoshop that it was just like, there's so many blue lines, I can't see where my actual things are.
Yeah. When it comes to a raid like Crota's End, which has been out for years at this point, because of like it returning from Destiny 1 and it being one of the earlier raids in Destiny 1. There's already maps that are established for that raid and for those encounters. Although some of the encounters have changed, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. When you're going into a project of a reissue, what's your process there? Do you go back and look at what others have done before you and refine, or do you try to cut the whole cloth?
I look at what has been done. Can I improve on it in any way? That is my first priority, is can I do this and make it cleaner? Is there any point in me doing this? Like Last Wish, I will probably do one encounter. And that is just Queen's Walk. Yeah. I have the files for all of Queen's Walk and the last two encounters for Blender. That is the only encounter I am going to do for Queen's Walk, for Last Wish and everything. I didn't touch King's Fall at all. There were some good maps out there already. I didn't see the point in doing that unless I were doing a like my Val ones were done in such a way so that a Sherpa-less group could complete this. It gave all of the needed information.
It's great.
That is what I do. It's like
I use them with my groups and send them to people like when I need them to understand what the layout is.
Yeah, I make them basically so that a Sherpa-less group can go through, or an LFG group, because not every group has a dedicated Sherpa or someone who's been through it before. Some groups, their Sherpa is like, okay, we haven't run this in a while. I need a refresher.
Right.
So, some people, myself included, are visual learners. So it's nice to be able to read it and then hear it. So I try and make it for those groups. There's a lot of guides out that are on reprisal raids that there's no point. Yeah. It's like there's very little that I can improve on in many cases with like King's Fall, probably with Crota. I've looked at some of the maps and they're perfectly fine. I don't see a way I can really improve on them. Ron, I might do the jumping puzzle. Yeah. Because that is something that is very complicated, but there's other groups that have also taken up the banner for trying to make maps. There, Ghost of the Deep. Okay. Yeah. There was someone did a fantabulous version of maps there, and they look very nice. They're much cleaner. I try and make mine not look like they're done by Bungie. These look like they're made by Bungie in that kind of style. And I've definitely noticed that they've pulled a couple of my techniques, like with the height planes. Yeah. And that's like I enjoy doing the maps for fun. As someone who enjoys Sherpaing and teaching people and like helping them through these endgame basically activities, because I was once there. I didn't have like anyone really to help me at one point, and then I had one of my friends was like, you know what? Okay, I used to play this game. I haven't really played it in a while, but I know these old raids. We're going to take you through. Yeah. And I want others to be able to experience that too.
So, with Crota returning, how did your team find it? How did you guys enjoy challenge mode and contest?
Oh, we found it to be a struggle.
Yeah.
Like everyone else, it was definitely a struggle. We got the clear. Unfortunately, it bugged out for us, like many other teams.
And it didn't give you the emblem at the end?
The all for one, yeah.
Oof.
The last triumph did not check off as clear, even though we definitely won and everything, and it shows in the raid report that we cleared the raid. It bugged out for everyone. And nobody, 5 of us were willing to go back in and be like, all right, we're gonna try this again. We're tired, but we're gonna try and get it.
Right.
And one of them was just like, you know what, I've put enough hours into this. We've been going, we're all tired. I'd like to go I'd like to go and do something else with the rest of my day.
Right, yeah.
At which point we just called it. We definitely struggled on some encounters.
What were the most difficult ones?
I'd say definitely bridge.
Bridge, okay.
That was more just on an execution level. Crota was probably our second most difficult one, and that was more just from we were so exhausted.
Yeah.
Because we ended up just saying, you know what, let's stop, come back in 5 hours, get a little bit of sleep. We got it third try. Yeah. Like, exhaustion was the enemy there more than anything else. Doing the challenge mode, by that point, it was, I think, first encounter was the rockiest, because it was like trying to you get used to the mechanics of the end, and then it's like trying to go back through, and it's like, wait.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So
I didn't play contest mode. I've only played it after it's gone normal, and having played the original version of it back in the day, when I was helping people out in Destiny 1, or like when I was on Destiny Tracker there for a while, when we were doing like Age of Triumph helps around that time. I remember that raid being fine. It wasn't my favorite by any stretch of the imagination. Age of Triumph came around, and the bridge section was probably my favorite thing, just because everybody got a sword and everybody could just go pound town on everything. And,
yes.
So that was like super rad. But I really enjoy the added mechanic of the Chalice of Light, that you move from one end of the raid all the way to the end to empower you as you're going into this Oversoul area. How did you like that addition to the mechanics? Had you played the previous version prior?
I only have played Destiny 1 for about a week.
Yeah.
Back in Season of the Drifter, I was very bored, because that was our 4-month season. And during the last month, I was like, you know what? I've never played Destiny 1. Let's fix that. Right. And I bought the game. I had a PlayStation, thankfully, by that point, thanks to a friend. And we played through it. Some people, random viewers, and one of my friends, basically took me through almost all of the raids. The only one that we didn't get to do was Wrath of the Machine, which I hear is fantastic.
It's one of my favorite raids. It was the one that I wanted to have come back. But knowing now what I know now, them bringing back Crota the way that they did, it's pretty good. Yeah.
So I've only gone through the D1 raids once. And it was on that easy mode that you unlock, apparently. There's a harder version too. So I don't really have much of a comparison. I remembered some of it, but a lot of me going into contest mode was just learning on the seat of my...
Right.
I was just like, okay, I've remembered some of this, and all right, we're just going to learn on the fly.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. Going in after contest mode was done, I was like, I'm bored. I need more of a challenge.
Yeah.
I know I'm weird like that, but
add
I
density.
remember bridge
Challenging. Challenge.
I liked bridge encounter mostly because everyone else was focusing on their things. I was just like, I will sit here on the totem, and I won't move until you tell me to move otherwise.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I locked it down.
Yeah.
And I had fun. I helped out on. I locked down my side. I helped out in middle, and I had fun. I kind of miss the difficulty. I wish things like you had that aggression modifier still. Like,
Right.
at least that. Give me that. I loved contest modifier. I love the challenge. I love being able to push myself. It's one reason why I love the few contest raids I've done, or like Grandmaster Nightfalls, dungeons. I love stuff like that. I love being able to push myself and see what I can do. I always see the most growth when I do that. And I've really felt like this raid really kind of helped me personally, but also just the team are really kind of just, we figured out what we were good at and we worked it.
My final question. So if you were, well, two questions. Are you planning on doing the final shape raid based on your experience with this contest mode? And what would be some tips for players who are maybe looking to do day one or first 48 contest mode that you found helpful in your playing experience?
So first question, I am planning on trying to do the raid. One of my friends has asked me like a year ago to try and do the raid with, and I promised I would try. I would say yes, and I'm planning on doing it with her.
Cool.
More than likely, we will not get the clear, but I don't care. I'm doing it for friends.
Yeah.
As far as for other people, that's a difficult question. Because I also talked to another friend about this, and I think the most important thing is teamwork. I have seen so many teams fall apart because they aren't willing to work together, or they don't mesh well. I have been very lucky with Kingsfall and with Crota and even with Ron, that I got some very wonderful, really stellar teams. We had different skill levels, yeah, but we all meshed well.
Yeah.
There was no egos. There was no, oh, well, you're not doing that as efficiently, or, you do this better, we all kind of communicated. It's like, well, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? We kind of talked about things, tried to figure out, and made suggestions. How can we do this better? What can I help out with? Instead of like, I need you to do this, be like, what can we improve on? Think of it not so much of a me or you. Think of it as we, the team.
Right.
Communicate ahead of time too. Like, okay, I'm going to bring this. Can someone bring this?
Right.
Communication. This is something I learned from an interpersonal communication class. Communication is a two-way street. You can't have communication only going one way. Otherwise, it's just like, you're going to not get anything done. You need to have it going both ways. So one of the first things, like both with Kingfall and with Crota, I asked, what do you guys need? What can I bring? What can I do to help out?
Yeah.
So instantly I had, and I was told both times, it's like, we pretty much have everything okay. Bring whatever you think.
Yeah.
So instantly I had on my normal, like, okay, tractor cannon, divinity, my well builds, my stasis builds, my strand now. I had all of my normal builds that basically could fill in with everything. So I had my Aeon builds, even like I was ready to basically go in anything.
Right.
Like whatever the team needed at any point, we were ready to take on.
Perfect.
So I would say go in, make sure you guys are all on the same page. Make sure like what everyone expects.
Yes. That's a huge one. Like setting expectation, like of, hey, we're doing this completely blind, nobody look up anything, or even like, hey, we're looking for the clear, we'll get it any way that we can. Like knowing those things in advance are huge for team dynamics.
And being like on the same page, especially too with, we are going to give it our all.
Mm-hmm.
If it's lack of sleep, we're going to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get this. Or we're just going in there to see, we're going to go in casual. We're not probably going to get the clear, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure, like, especially with those two, everyone needs to be on the same page, because some people may not be wanting to do one of those things.
Exactly.
So make sure you find a team that not only you can vibe with, but also if you're going in wanting that emblem and you're willing to suffer through, make sure you find a team that's willing to do the same, because if you're not, you're going to start having conflict issues.
Mm-hmm. That was something that, like, in my earlier teams, when we would try to do day one stuff, it really kind of pushed me off of it, because it's not that, like, people went in with egos. I think people went in with different expectations, and people didn't readily convey those until like the day of, or like yeah, and so like you get in there and like some people are like, I'm just here to have fun. It's okay, well, that's not really helping us with this thing.
Yeah.
And then you have like one guy that's over here yelling, guys, we gotta take this serious. Like, and it can be like kind of like a frustrating situation in full. So like, yeah, I think
that was something that I ran into on my first contest raid, Crown of Sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I set it up. I had almost enough for 2 full teams, and it was very much a matter of, well, we don't have enough for 2 teams. I have to pick out who's on my team,
right.
And trying to, figure out, okay, what is the best dynamic?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need? And who is willing? We were all in there for the emblem, and I had drama going around it and stuff, and it did not end up well.
Right.
And it was just one of those things of that was probably my first lesson. Find and make sure you have the team that all meshes well, and you're all on the same page, because we had one person who it threw us all off. Didn't
mesh. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think another thing that this new philosophy almost from Bungie, I think this new philosophy from Bungie of extending out contests to 48 hours to make it more, I guess, amenable to schedules and to allow more people to attempt and partake is really useful too, because then you can like, I know during my clear, we did run and we did like the 48, we basically used the full 48. I think we got it done in under like just a couple minutes before the 48 hours ran out. And so it was like, it was tough, but like, we were able to like rest and be like, okay, we're coming back into this, maybe knowing a couple more strategies than we did the night before. But like, you're at least able to go in and be like, okay, I know what this is. We just got to get the reps in, and we just got to knock it out.
Yep.
So
that was kind of us with Crota. Because normal mode was where it was just like, we knew we could do it. We had nearly done it 2 times, and it was just stupid things, partially on my side. I think one time it was because the well broke early, and he slammed me because I was the Oversoul. So that made it hard. And then the second time, I didn't have enough ammo.
Right.
I had used 1 shot too many on DPS, and then it screwed us up, and I was so upset. I was so upset with myself. And then we were just like, you know what, we've got time. And everyone wanted to, go in and just get like 2 hours of sleep and come back. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
That is not enough time. It's like, we are all dead exhausted.
Yeah.
Come back in 5. And I had to argue with it. It's like, listen, by that point, there'll probably be better strategies, because people have already cleared it. We're going to be able to figure out, okay, this is a more effective weapon for this thing. And then people will have figured out how to do challenge mode probably a little bit better. And that was actually the key thing that made them just be like, all right, fine, 5 hours. Come back 5 hours. So I think the 48 hours has been phenomenal. I have even back when they first started doing 48 hours, I was like, you know what? I'm okay with it because, hey, my friends cannot kill themselves. I remember King's Fault, 24 hours versus 48.
Yeah.
I will definitely take that. I'm sorry, 24 hours was brutal.
It's a mostly unhealthy decision to go ahead and do.
Yeah.
And like I think allowing the weekend gives more teams opportunity to hop in and check out what contest mode means if they're looking to do future ones, or if they're even just looking to get this emblem.
I like it because, one, it allows them to start it on Friday.
Yeah.
It allows for any bugs. Look at what happened with some of the other raids, how it got really buggy and stuff. So it allows the team to be there to deal with any situations that might arise.
Mm-hmm.
People don't have to take off a day of work most times if it goes into Saturday.
Yeah.
Which allows a lot of people who maybe can't get that day off. Maybe because, hey, we learned about it too late, and it's like, well, I needed to put in my, notice ahead of time. So it allows for more flexibility from other people.
Yeah.
It also allows people to take more time to get rest.
Yeah.
Not all of us are young whippersnappers anymore. I'm speaking on a personal note. I am turning 33 this year. I cannot deal with the 24 hours. I did it for King's Fall because I was dedicated, and I knew that going in we were going to stay in the full 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was dying.
Oh.
48 hours felt way more doable, and even though it was still a struggle, I don't feel nearly as dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather them do the 48 hours because it is healthier for everyone. Whether it be on the tech support side or the player side. Mm-hmm. It also allows, like with Ron, it allows more people to just try in. Maybe they're looking at doing it. They haven't really touched it before. It allows them to kind of see, okay, this doesn't work. This is what they're using now. Let's try this and maybe, grow. Mm. I have a lot of friends who are more casual. They go in more to, try out and see how they do.
Yeah.
This allows them to have that chance at growth. Mm-hmm. So I definitely like the 48. It's a nice change.
Heck yeah. Well, 10, it has been wonderful to have you on the show. Finally. Yeah.
He says finally.
I say finally.
He says finally, but he's been kind of he's asked me like a year ago. I remember.
Yeah. So it's good to have you now, and I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you have about your experience in Destiny 2. Where can people find you on the internet?
If pretty much most platforms, I have some account on. Mostly, I'm still on Twitter, but Tumblr is probably the next one that I'm most active on. I just got onto Blue Sky.
Congratulations.
I'm very thankful. I was not expecting to be able to get on there. So I was very happy when one of my friends was like, I have a code. Do you want it? I was like, yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Literally right before Elon said, yeah, we're not doing the blocking thing anymore. And I was like, no. No.
Yeah. I've been floating mine out there. I'm starting to put them into like little puzzles or like a little picture. Yeah.
I saw that was actually really cute.
Thanks.
But yeah, Twitter or X, whatever it's called. Tumblr, have an Instagram account, but I don't use it. Like I'm pretty much all over the place. It's always just going to be Tenrouken.
My name's Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok at danfinity.gg. You can also find me on Twitch 3 days a week, helping Guardians with endgame activity. Twitch.tv/danfinity. If you'd like to support the show, remember to rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. Anything you say helps us in the algorithm. And if you'd like to give a couple bucks a month to help keep the lights on, head on over to coffee.com/danfinity. That is ko-fi.com/danfinity. All the links are in the notes for the show. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.